You didn't ask, but we're about to give you a review of Thunderbolts. First, we're going to start off with a spoiler-free review, and then we're going to move on to a spoiler-filled review. So if you don't want to see that, that's the part to skip. I'm Spencer.
I'm Jory.
I'm Tyler. Let's get into it.
Let's get right to it.
Spoiler free.
Honestly, I really liked the movie. I'd say it was better than the Captain America movie, the last Marvel MCU movie that came out. I'd give it probably 7.5 out of 10.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about it in the theater. This is the first Marvel movie I had seen since Deadpool and Wolverine. So hearing that Marvel music in the start of it was, I don't know, just felt nostalgic. But I liked it. I think I agree with you, Spencer. I think it's somewhere around like 7.6, 7.7 out of 10.
7.6, he says.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree. I think I really haven't seen a lot of the Marvel films recently. They just haven't been hitting like pre-Endgame, but I liked it. I don't think it's perfect, but I think it's kind of a return to form for Marvel, which is almost a detriment to it. But I liked it. I don't think it's anything superb. Like, I don't think it's like the greatest Marvel movie or the greatest film we've ever seen, but
Yeah.
I liked it. I think there's some problems with just the normal Marvel formula. I'd give Thunderbolts a 7.5, maybe 8. Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's where I would go for it.
What do you think the problems are with the Marvel formula?
We can get more into it with spoilers, but I think generically the problems with the Marvel formula come from a need to commit to a formula that works for them, that probably monetarily works for them. It leads to clashing tones within the movie and leaves some characters to be less developed than others when they should be more developed.
I think most of the stuff I have to say is like spoiler filled, but I will say, like you were saying, the character development in certain spots left a little bit to be desired.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's supposed to be a little over the top, like with its comedic tones. But I think there were a few moments maybe where it was a little full of itself. I don't know if that's the right expression, but yeah. I mean, again, I thought it was a really fun movie, something I haven't seen in a while. So
Yeah.
Next, we're going to get into the spoiler-filled review. So be aware of that.
Yeah. Click off. It's only been a week. We were
2 days.
We were Marvel 2 days. We're Marvel fiends this one time.
Yeah.
Didn't want to get
I had
spoiled.
to see
for
it
this one.
early.
We all showed up in our suits.
Yeah. My
was
Red
dressed as-
Guardians.
He was the
Yeah, Red Guardian.
Red Guardian.
Yeah,
The Riz Guardian.
the Red
Oh.
Guardian. All right.
Saw that picture with him and Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
Yeah,
Solid pick.
the Rizzler should have been in the film,
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, he should have been a civilian in the movie.
and he protects like the people.
Yeah.
That would have been cool. Jory has no idea what the Rizzler is.
Oh, okay.
Jeez, that was disgusting.
Was that nice? Was that Riz? Which one is the Riz one?
Yeah.
You got it on here, but I forget.
I think that is it.
Oh.
So spoiler-filled review.
Yeah.
I feel like they didn't develop Ghost enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, I feel like we got a lot of character development for even Yelena.
Yeah.
Like, they talked about her a lot. The knockoff Captain America
Yeah.
had his own,
Hey,
like,
he
had his.
don't disrespect my guy John Walker.
Okay. I'm disrespecting.
No, that's mean, bro.
No, like even he had his little mental flashback scene, but I felt like they didn't really cover anything close to that with Ghost. Even though she was around, the only thing she really did was right at the beginning when she unnecessarily dropped Taskmaster, which kind of pissed
Oh
me
my
off.
God. Yeah, wait, let's talk about that real quick. I got to look back at the marketing, but I thought Taskmaster was in the marketing. They knocked her out so
Just
quickly.
dropped her
But
immediately.
I think that's because of a couple reasons. I don't think that Taskmaster was really widely liked. Taskmaster's a really cool character in the comics. And I don't think people really liked how they did that Taskmaster. So I think that was their way of like
Killing
clean
him,
slate.
and then
We'll do a
we're
new
getting there.
Taskmaster eventually. You guys didn't like that one. We'll do a better one. I think that's the way I took it.
Maybe.
Or I think plot reasons was because they killed off Taskmaster to make you feel like the Thunderbolts could die at any moment. But
That was like the only danger that they really
but in
faced.
reality, it was more just like, hey, you guys didn't like this Taskmaster and we want to reboot her.
And
So-
my thing wasn't even that they killed her. It was like how she died. Like everybody else is just kind of like chilling, like, you know what, let's talk this out. And then she just randomly gets blinked. I'm like, what's that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
No, I agree with you though. I felt like Ghost definitely could have gotten a little bit more screen time, a little bit more character development. Like you said, like Yelena. I mean, if you had seen the Hawkeye show, I mean,
And the
there's-
Black Widow movie.
yes. So like, there's obviously some backstory in those, but I thought like Red Guardian, even like her dad was kind of at the forefront of the movie at some point. So,
but I think there's also another character that I felt fell to the wayside, which was, I honestly thought Bucky, Winter Soldier, really didn't get a lot to do in this. Like, he's cool. He kind of comes in, he's the leader, but like, he like just comes in. I don't know. He just didn't really feel like he fit as much. Like, I kind of like the fact that when he comes in, they feel like they have a leader, even though they're not a group, which we'll kind of talk about. But I didn't think Bucky got a whole lot to do other than being Bucky. But I guess we've gotten so many movies with him, they don't want to like focus on him as much. Valentina, she's one of my critiques with the movie. I thought she was really goofy, cartoony. I thought her character development, well, there was no character development. I know she's been in other movies and stuff like that, and I understand what she is. She's basically the Amanda Walker, right? Amanda Walker's a Suicide Squad.
Yeah, man.
She's basically like that for this one, and I'm fine with that. She doesn't have to have a lot of development, but I just thought she was like really cartoony villain. Like, she was like, I kill all these people. Oh, these are bad.
Yeah, I'm gonna gas this guy's head up and easily manipulate him.
Yeah, and it's just like, you were a little too cartoony. Maybe it was the actress, maybe it was the way it was written, maybe it was the directing. They told her to do that, but I just thought she was a little too cartoony villain. I think it could have been a really great villain to kind of over time just like turn Sentry or Bob into the Sentry, instead of it being like a
To me, it felt more like it was like a writing thing than like the way it was being acted or portrayed. Because I thought she did good with, or Julia Louis-Dreyfus did good with the role that she was given, but that kind of Marvel cartooniness that they kind of call back to sometimes, she had to like dial it up for that.
Yeah, I think that's the fault of Marvel movies. Sometimes they have to have that overly villainous character, which I think it would have been even better in Thunderbolts if Valentina was just in the background and the whole movie is just this villain of Sentry, Void, and how they have to deal with him. And he's not really a villain. He's just dealing
like misguided,
and dealing with depression, basically. Obviously, that's what he's a metaphor for. And I think that would have been a lot better of just this actual very personal story rather than being the Valentina is the evil agent and I'm gonna kill all these people. Oh no. It's like, all right.
Well, building off that then, how did you guys feel they touched on mental health? Do you feel like they did a good job?
I mean, I think they did a fantastic job. It's kind of like explaining what depression is. Like it's inside of you, right? And it's like a part of you. And I think, they make a joke with the Elena earlier in the movie about, you just got to push it down. Like, you push the void down, you can't escape it, etc. But I think the whole obviously message of the Thunderbolts is like, you have to do it. You have to have a group around you supporting you. Like, depression is something that you cannot take on yourself. And I feel like Sentry, I don't know, I feel like they encapsulated that pretty well.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that's one of the better parts of the movie is the fact that Sentry wasn't just a big bad villain for big bad purposes. He felt like he had some good metaphors and allegories. And I think the biggest problem with him in that terms, it was very on the nose. Like, they basically told you, hey, I'm depression. Like, and this is how you deal with depression. Like, kind of wish it was almost like a little more subtle. Like, I still love the messages that they did. I just wish Sentry was a little more subtle for what he represented in Thunderbolts. I would have liked, again, a full movie. Imagine this movie. It's all in the bunker. And they have to like deal with Sentry Void in the bunker or something like that. It's probably more, but I don't know. I just think it's something different than the normal Marvel formula and stuff like that. Could have been really cool. But I really did like the mental health. They marketed this movie very specifically by showing off all the different creators that were a part of this, including a lot of A24 cinematic creators. I don't know, people, whether it was the DP or the editor or whatever it was. And so that leads me to believe of like, what if we're getting an A24 movie, but for Marvel? And that wasn't like this. When I'm watching this, I'm like, yeah, this feels like a Marvel movie. And I guess maybe I was just kind of hoping that we would stray away from that Marvel formula of we need a clear villain. So Valentina's your clear villain. She's going to be your cartoony villain. We're going to have Sentry, who's a little underdeveloped. I think they give him what he needs to, and then he's underdeveloped. And then we're going to take him out. And I kind of wish that we had gotten something more unique in a way.
I kind of wish they had done more with the fight of like when they were fighting Bob. Like when he first came down the stairs, it seems like it's going to be this insane fight, but I felt like it ended kind of quickly.
Yeah.
Like
all
they were
retreated.
back in the elevator and like, you know what, we can't win this fight. And then like that was it.
I
I would have
agree.
liked to see them like group up and keep attempting.
I agree and disagree with that. I think that's where they diverted from the Marvel formula because you wanted that because that's what Marvel gives you. But this guy's so powerful, they couldn't do anything to him. It would have been stupid if somehow Yelena beat Sentry.
Yeah, that's
like it would have actually been really stupid.
I more so meant like
You want to see
I
more
would
of
have.
it.
I wanted to see them be the reason that he becomes that other thing. Like if he felt alone because they were attacking him,
Yeah.
I feel like that would have made for a better movie than if they just hit the kill switch.
That's what I was gonna say next.
Yeah.
I don't understand Sentry's turn on them. I don't understand why he turned. He comes down and he's just like, I gotta take you guys out. I'm like, why?
Yeah, right.
Why? What?
also-
Like we
yeah.
didn't get enough of Valentina like twisting his mind. Like she did it in one little scene where she's like, oh, you could be powerful.
But even in like him understanding his powers, we went from him like accidentally breaking a glass
Yes.
to he's got complete 100% control of his powers.
Yes.
When he walked down the stairs.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
I agree. Sentry's turn into, or Bob's turn into becoming Sentry happened like that, and it took me out of the movie.
Right.
Yeah.
He definitely like gained his, I don't know, just I wrote that down. Like he's just so controlled with his movements, like so instantly.
Literally.
I will say though, I guess like kind of playing devil's advocate in defense, maybe it's like, you know, plays on the whole depression thing. Cause I feel like when you are in a state of mind where, you know, you don't feel like yourself, you can easily be manipulated by, you know, outside factors.
Yeah.
So like,
Well, I totally agree with that. And I think that's a really good way that they could have brought it. I don't think it was developed enough. I think they spent too much time with the impeachment trial.
Yeah.
Instead of like take that whole crap out, just talk about it, just briefly mention it, right?
Yeah.
And then spend an extra 15 minutes of showing Bob doing that. And you know, also, you know, when you're depressed and you're going through a lot of mental illness, you start to push people away. Right. You push people away and whatnot. And I think that could have been really cool to show. Also, what could have been cool to show is that depression isn't just a monster in you, it is you. And so there's parts of Bob that are void. I wish they had touched on that more. I don't think the way that it showed it, and I don't
It
know.
made it, even in the post-credit scene, it seemed like the solution to their problem was just, we're going to
Forget
completely just avoid him doing anything.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's not really how you would want to go about dealing with depression if he's supposed to be this,
Yeah, you're supposed to work through it and whatnot.
this symbol of like overcoming depression and these other things.
so I'll play devil's advocate again. You know, we're talking about how Bob is fighting the void and, you know, this whole idea of that they're two separate things. But I thought it was interesting when Bucky was like, this feels wrong. And they all, you know, group together and pull Bob off the void. And like I said, I think they're gonna probably, or they did tease another movie. So I'm curious to see how they expand on that.
Yeah.
I don't know. It kind of gives me like Hulk vibes a little bit, where it's like, you know, Bruce Banner, the Hulk, and then
But again, I don't
Touching on the
gotta
Hulk
find a
though,
balance.
that kind of goes back to what you were saying before about how you'd wish they didn't talk as much about the trial.
Yeah.
In Red Hulk, in the last Captain America movie,
yeah.
they spoke a lot on like building up the trial and stuff like that, of not just of like this movie, just in general, trying to show Bucky is like a congressman and stuff like that. So maybe that's how they were trying to build up his character and show that like, oh, he's grown to do other things.
Yeah,
But I
will
still
say-
felt like it wasn't the most interesting way to show us how he's grown as a person.
Yeah. I think Bucky's a cool addition to it. He almost feels like he doesn't fit, but he does fit. Like I understand he does fit, but like we just didn't see enough of him like busting balls with them. And real quick, diverting from the topics of mental health and everything, my favorite part of this movie is just all of them together. I love the way that they just like argue and fight and bust each other's balls, and but then at the end they're there for each other.
Yeah.
I just thought that was fun. It really
did feel like a real family,
It felt like a real family, and I love the fact that they just kept making fun of each other. And I'm really happy that Bob or Sentry is technically like a part of it. I like that. It's like the main villain of it actually is gonna hopefully become a hero and stuff. And you know, there's obviously a lot that happens with Sentry and Void, but I really liked all their like like he just had so many great personalities. I think Florence Pugh as Yelena really stood out to me. I thought
she did a great job.
Her accent is so addicting. Like I don't know, it's just so soothing on my ears to hear her talk. And David Harbour as Red Guardian also.
Yeah, he was electric
as well.
I mean, I liked. I don't know. Does he actually have a name? The Captain America like knockoff? Or is he like?
Yeah. So I think like his comic book name is U.S. Agent.
Okay,
I believe. And obviously, it's like the whole thing of like, is he Captain America? Is he not? John Walker, you could just call him. You could call him knockoff Captain America.
So is he like an actual super soldier, or like does he have?
I think he
like,
took the serum.
Yeah.
Okay.
John Walker, U.S. Agent Captain America, is arguably the best part of the Falcon and Winter Soldier TV show. And I think they underutilized him in that one a little bit. But when he was there and it was all about him and like the pressures of making someone a Captain America rather than him becoming a Captain America. Really good. I actually really liked him in this one. I'm happy we're getting to see more and more of him because it's kind of, I hope they play more into the fact of him like trying to be Captain America instead of just being Captain America.
Right. Living up to the moniker rather than just assuming that he already is that.
Yeah, exactly. And
but I do think a lot of them are set up for really cool character development because like when they talked about Sentry's backstory and they said that he wanted to be part of the medical study that would put him in a position to be better or grow kind of. And now as a new Avenger, he's going to have the opportunity to help and better the lives of other people.
Yeah.
So it's like he really did get that in a way, maybe if not the way that he was expecting.
Rank the Will Smith Suicide Squad, the James Gunn Suicide Squad, and the Thunderbolts from your least favorite to favorite team portrayed in the movies.
But off the top of my head, I'm going to say the Suicide Squad first. I'm going to say Thunderbolts second and Suicide Squad with Will Smith third.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's exactly how I would rank it.
I don't know. I'd have to rewatch the Suicide Squad again. But I almost feel like I kind of liked the team camaraderie of Thunderbolts better. So maybe I would right now, maybe because it's just new, Thunderbolts, then the Suicide Squad, and then the Will Smith Suicide Squad.
I will say the camaraderie felt different in this movie than the Suicide Squad because in the Suicide Squad, they're all forced to work together. Yeah. And at no point in the movie do we really see them all on the same page about like, you know, I'm really glad that I met you or I'm glad that I get to work with you or anything.
Like this one, they feel like a family. I think Thunderbolts really hit home with like the team aspect, the family aspect. And that's a whole like part of the movie, mostly with Yelena and like Red Guardian. She's like, you weren't here for me, like you weren't here for the past year and stuff. And it's like sometimes you don't realize when you need to be there for someone, versus also you don't realize the people who are going to be there for you might be someone you've never met before, and that connection, that bond you create with them.
Yeah, no, I love the scene with Yelena and her dad, like kind of near the end of the movie, just talking about like you said, like he didn't realize that she wanted him in her life, and
that was a really good scene.
And I mean that was like a really emotional scene, probably like one of the best in the whole movie. But
I thought that was like a cool and realistic scene because like on his end he felt like he shouldn't have been there because she wouldn't want that. That's like not what she needed. And on the opposite end, she's feeling the complete opposite way.
And I think also, you know, Bob, I guess, is talking about, I think, you know, they mentioned it in near the end of the movie with, I guess, like his parents were fighting, and I guess that's where it stems from, this whole idea of like you make everything worse. And I feel like there's kind of like a shared ideal in that sense with him and the Red Guardian or her dad, and that like, you know, if I'm in her life, I'm just probably just gonna make it worse. But in reality, I mean, she just wanted him around, and you know, like you said, just building a family.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think and that's why I'm saying is like I feel like maybe this is where this diverts from Marvel movies. I feel like this actually had like really deep personal messages about being there for friends and family, and that people are going through things, and communication is key. Like
just looking it up, you know, as we were, you know, leaving the theater, Florence Pugh, the stunt at the start of the movie where she jumps off the building, she did herself.
Yeah, that's insane.
Honestly,
that's super impressive,
ridiculous.
Yeah.
So
she's really risen up recently. Like Rizzler?
Which one? I don't know which one. I'll play them both.
Florence Pugh has really risen up to be just like a top tier actor.
Like a household name?
Like a household name. I don't think she's there yet. The way I always think about that is if I go to my grandma and I say a name, which she's going to know. I don't think my grandma would know Florence Pugh. Maybe. But I think at that
Without your
point,
grandma.
Yeah, maybe
you
she's
know what?
really plugged in.
yeah.
Midsummer, you know.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Oppenheimer, a
Um.
little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit.
But no, I guess I just mean like she's one of those. She's becoming an actress that I'm like, if she's in a movie, I'm gonna like turn an eye to and be like, all right, maybe I gotta look at this movie. Like I gotta, even if it's the most unknown movie, I gotta maybe take a look at this. Like she's really good.
Yeah, she did. I have a question.
Okay.
Because near at the end of the movie, I don't know if you want to bring up the post credit scene yet, but obviously Red Guardian was, making a joke at the new Avengers.
Yeah.
I mean, they did a press conference,
Right,
with
yeah.
Valentina. So I'm curious. Do you think this could be, the new Avengers?
No,
Even with Sentry,
think-
like being as powerful as he is, obviously
No.
he has a lot to do to control that. But
I could see almost a battle. That'd be cool. Having like the actual Avengers with like
another
Falcon.
Civil War.
Another Civil War. Marvel's just redoing what they did. They're like, shit, we hit gold with Civil War. We got to do it again.
Who would you want to see in the new Falcons Avengers? I think I'd want to see Haley Steinfeld reprise her character as Kate.
Yeah, Kate Bishop.
Yep, and be the new Hawkeye.
Yeah.
I think she'd
That
do
would
a
be
good job.
I think they will. I think she's also really risen recently, and she's kind of like a name that will drive people to the theaters.
Sinners. Go check it out.
Sinners review. Everything goes back to Sinners.
Everything goes back.
All
Everything-
paths lead
All
back to
paths
Sinners.
lead to Sinners. I would like to see Spider-Man,
Yeah, I was.
but like we haven't. Who
Do
knows
they
that
remember
guy?
him?
Yeah, no, they don't. Well, they don't. They remember Spider-Man. They don't know it's Peter Parker.
Right.
They don't remember. I don't think Peter Parker exists technically. Is like the
So
way.
how do they even find him?
If he doesn't want to be found, they won't find him. I guess. But if they, obviously they're going to bring Spider-Man in. So
I
So I
want
think
them
he
to
would be-
bring in Nova.
Nova.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
I feel like they haven't touched on him like at all in the Marvel Cinematic
Yeah.
Universe to this point. And I remember seeing him in like a lot of stuff growing up.
Yeah.
They're gonna bring back Captain Marvel.
Oh yeah,
Like, she's
forgot
kinda
about
just
her.
in the
Where the
wind.
hell has she been?
Right.
I don't
Where
know.
the hell has she been?
Off world.
Where's Thor? What
Also
happened?
probably off-world.
Playing Fortnite somewhere.
Yeah, where was Thor? And where did we see Thor? Oh, was it Love and Thunder?
Yeah.
Terrible movie. Thor: Love and
That
Thunder
was a
might be the worst comic book movie I've ever seen.
That was a total letdown.
It was so bad. I hated that movie.
I'll never watch that movie.
Never. I wish I never saw it to begin with. I wish I'd never seen that movie to begin with. Yeah, where's Thor?
Not the best trip to the theater.
No, I think I watched it on a plane, and even that, I'm still
Lucky you.
pissed.
Lucky.
Know which characters they think work for these movies, and they're just kind
Oh,
of
wait, yeah.
constantly
All you gotta do
bringing
is
them back.
start looking at the TV shows. Moon Knight, where's that guy?
Yeah.
Like that guy could be a really fun part of it.
Like I feel like they built up this gigantic
Vision?
universe, and there's just kind of loose pieces
Yeah.
at this point.
If I was living in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I would never go near New York City.
Absolutely not. That is the last place I would ever want to live.
Every time.
One of the funniest things in Thunderbolts, I thought, was when Bucky was driving the big truck as they're going to I guess approach Valentina, and I guess they didn't know Sentry was there, but he was just like, what's the plan? He's like, the plan? And they just drive through the
straight.
front of the building.
Yeah.
But then in the background, you just
People are
see
just-
like the
yeah.
bystander just walking by,
Yeah.
traffic,
There's
walking.
this is a normal day.
Typical
That might
day
be
that-
the, I was just about to say, that might be the most New York thing
Yeah,
I've seen.
literally. And like when Yelena and like Red Guardian are like arguing and like having that emotional moment on the streets of New York, they're just like, yeah,
Nobody cares.
Makes sense. Yeah.
People are.
I feel like
minding
even
their
now,
business.
like, get away from it. But yeah, I would not be living in New York City or any city
Absolutely not.
in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Before we get into the
Yeah. What other
post-credit scene, I was again reading trivia. Apparently, Steven Yeun was supposed to be cast as
Steven
Sentry,
Yeun.
which was pretty cool. We haven't done any podcasts about Invincible, but I feel like he would have been incredible as Sentry. Not to say that I'm not sure who the actor's name is, but I thought he did a good job. But I just feel like someone who can portray like anxiety and grief and all those emotions that come, with depression. I feel like Steven Yeun could have done that really, really well. It would have been interesting because, like I said, we talked about Invincible. Like, I think you can draw parallels from Cecil to Valentina a little bit. And I feel like people would have made that connection. Kind of like this.
Yeah,
I don't know,
but
overarching,
Cecil,
like, manipulative.
the thing is about Cecil on an Invincible topic, real
He's a
quick,
little bit more.
is Cecil's more about actually protecting humanity and like actually he has good intentions, but he's doing it in a possibly bad way. While Valentina's just like
Morally
It
wrong.
was mostly just like money and power.
Yeah.
See why they didn't go with Steven Yeun though, because like you were saying with Invincible, I think his voice now has become synonymous kind of with that character.
Yeah.
So seeing another Steven Yeun in a suit and costume, especially with like a cape or something.
I think overall Thunderbolts was actually a really good return to form for Marvel, but I think that return to form also screwed them over. I think some of the classic Marvel tropes of underdeveloped villain and a big CGI battle fest at the end kind of took it down a couple notches for me. But talking about that real quick, what did you guys think about like the ending fight of how they beat Sentry and that whole thing? Because
I felt like the whole idea of going from like room to room, kind of like setting a different scene and showcasing like a different part of his past was really interesting, because I feel like that also plays into this whole, depression. I just felt like that was really well done, because I think it's true. Like sometimes you do get, when you do have, issues with anxiety or depression, you kind of just get lost.
Yeah.
And you want to pick a place maybe that feels more comfortable, even though it's actually not
the
comfortable.
healthiest place to be.
You still kind of resort.
I mean,
back
like
to
literally he's on top of
an abusive household.
yeah,
with
he's
his
literally
mom
in
and dad.
the attic while he gets beat downstairs.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, this is good.
This is the best
This
part.
is the best room I found.
So I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, although it is a CGI fest when they actually like go and they start battling him, it was different than normal Marvel movie endings where it's just a big bad CGI blasting through buildings and all that stuff. So I kind of like the fact that it was a little more anticlimactic in a way where they just beat him by like hugging him. I almost wish that we just didn't have him throwing around giant metal things and and strapping them to walls. Like I almost wish it was more of just an intimate moment that wasn't like things crashing in. I don't know. I just kind of
I think that was like a cool like metaphor for depression too, though, because it's like when you need help the most, you might push everybody away, and sometimes those people are gonna have to like fight to break through that to be able to help you.
Damn. You know what? Yeah, I really like that. I take my point back. Rank the Thunderbolt members from least favorite to favorite.
I'll put Red Guardian first.
Okay.
I'll put Yelena second. Gonna put Bob third.
Okay.
Bob was a dog. I'm gonna put Ghost a little high.
Whoa!
Above John Walker. Guy was neglecting his kids. But yeah, am I leaving anybody out? Is that everyone?
Yeah, you're leaving out Winter Soldier.
He like wasn't even a factor. I don't even
He's
count.
cool, but yeah, he's yeah.
Yelena number one,
Yeah.
Red Guardian number two.
Okay.
He had some great moments, like pulling up in a limousine.
Yeah.
It's your dad.
Yeah.
A great introduction that way. And then I would probably have John Walker, U.S. agent,
Yeah.
knockoff Captain America guy, number three. Ghost fourth. Sentry fifth.
But the
And then Winter Soldier, he forgets Winter Soldier.
No, we don't even need to rank that guy.
Bob, I don't know, Bob. You got some work to do, so go to therapy, bro.
Yeah, that's true. He did. Least favorite is Ghost, even though she's got the coolest power. Like, yeah, like she's definitely the least developed. Then I'm gonna put Bucky next since you guys forgot him. I'll put him next, and then I'll put Red Guardian. Yeah, I think it's just more developing of him. I want to see more of him and everything. But yeah, David Harbour's delivery of the lines just makes it so good. Because if you put a different actor in there, it could be the most corniest,
cringiest character by far.
Yeah.
And then I really like John Walker. I think maybe it's also just like I really liked him in Falcon Winter Soldier. I loved his character development. I love what he stands for. I love what he's like going for. I love the fact that he's like trying to be Captain America, but he's like sitting there like killing people, and he's like, "I'm Captain America. Yeah, let's just burn Bob." And he's like, "Aren't you supposed to be Captain America?"
Yeah.
Like, and then yeah, Yelena is just number one.
That
was a fun.
How did you guys feel about Mel as like a character then? Because
yeah, that was an interesting.
I feel like she had an interesting character arc that wasn't really shown as that much. Like I kind of liked how she started helping Bucky a little bit when she started to feel
and then
that
she just
things
goes
were
right
off.
back to Valentina.
I mean, she stuck by her because she felt like she couldn't get away, I guess. But I liked that through Bucky, she was able to have like a positive impact that she was looking for.
I mean, that probably speaks to just like what politicians are and the kind of power dynamics that are in like, I guess that industry maybe, but yeah, I mean,
she served her purpose.
yeah.
I think it was kind of weird that she was having those like open government talks, like on the phone, like explicitly saying things that would probably incriminate her if anybody looked at her phone.
Right.
Like if Bucky can track your phone, like somebody else has got to be able to track your phone.
Like talking like right.
The most direct, like non-coded speech.
At first it was kind of coded, and then she was like, you gotta track me. You know where they're going. And it's like, thanks, Winter Soldier. And I'm like, okay, all right, wow.
Basically, my phone is bugged. I'm gonna go to a secret location and I want you to follow me.
Yeah.
Like, how did no one find that?
Please turn on my boss as the boss is right outside the door.
Then she walks out and then she's literally right there.
Yeah. You gotta have a change of heart. And it's like,
so did you hear what I said?
I think that there was a couple shots and like action scenes in here that did set themselves apart from Marvel. Thunderbolts had a really cool scene in the beginning with Yelena taking out guards, and it's like from the top and it's a shadow. Oh, so cool. That felt like not a Marvel movie. I was like, yes. And I wish we had more of that. And then the action was also really good. It was not shaky cam, which was awesome. Like it really felt like kung fu, martial arts, special ops. Like we saw the action. We could see their punches. Like it felt real, and it wasn't shaky cam so we didn't have to, see the cuts and stuff. I thought the action was really well done.
Is Thunderbolts a movie that you guys feel like is a must watch if you're an MCU fan?
I don't know if there's really a must watch when it comes to any MCU, at this point. But I mean, like we'll probably talk about it here in a second. I think it sets up something in the future that's coming. So maybe, but I think it's definitely a movie you want to go see, though. I feel like it has a great message, and like we've been talking about, I don't know, it's just unique in the fact that it's setting up a family, and it's a different type of superhero movie.
I don't think you have to be a Marvel fan to watch this, but I think if you're a Marvel fan, I think this is a good one to try to get back into it if you're not already back into it. If you're already back into the MCU, you're going to watch this regardless. But if you're kind of on that teetering edge of like these movies have kind of sucked recently in TV shows, I think this is a good one to get back into. It's still similar enough that you're not going to feel totally out of place. They kind of explain the things you need to if you haven't seen previous movies or TV shows. And I think it's really well done. I think it has some really good messages, and it can kind of show you that Marvel isn't total crap anymore. But I don't think it's a must watch. No.
I felt like it was a solid movie. I liked the tones and themes that they brought into it. It was kind of different for a Marvel film. But I also wouldn't say that you need to see this.
No.
Like, if you wanted to just go watch the Fantastic Four movie, you could probably do that and not feel like you really missed that much. But if you saw the Captain America movie and you liked what they were building, I would say it would be worthwhile.
Right. So you brought up Fantastic Four. We're going to talk the post-credits now.
Got to.
Well, let's talk about the first post-credit scene. It's just a joke with Red Guardian. Obviously, he just loves the fame. He loves the fame, but I think he just also loves being like the hero. He just loves like being a hero, and he likes people liking him and being thankful for him. He's really funny with it.
Well, they talked about what he felt like made him happy, and he's like, I'm the happiest when I'm serving my country and being able to help people. So I think he kind of had his joy get brought back to him at that scene.
I totally agree.
Now we're going to talk about the second post-credit scene. So that's the one where we first start off and we see Red Guardian walk in with all of their Avengers, with a Z.
The
Avengers suits. And he says that he's got one made for everybody. And then they start to show the satellite imagery
of what's coming.
The Fantastic Four ship logo falling from the sky.
Well, a couple things before we get to that, because I have so much to say about that. But first of all, they're in the Avengers Tower. So obviously Avengers Tower is now for the Avengers. They talk about the fact that obviously we kind of mentioned before, Falcon, Captain America is making his own team and he's going against them. And he's going to copyright the word Avengers and everything like that. Is that setting up Civil War, or is it setting up just them being Thunderbolts again? I kind of hope they're just Thunderbolts. I don't really know. And they kind of, I like the fact that they bring in like, oh yeah, like the media or the social media is not on our side.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, okay, that's good, because like they wouldn't be.
Yeah.
They're saying they're getting memed to death.
Yeah, they're getting memed to death. So I like that whole thing, and obviously David Harbour is just great with his tracksuit and everything like that.
It's a clean fit.
Yeah. What do you think of everything before they show the feed?
I mean, I think we talked about it a little bit, but it's just kind of how Sentry or Bob, I guess, is kind of just
chilling.
Yeah, like he's not. He what did he say? He was like, I was just doing the dishes today. Or something. Like he's doing like menial tasks, but he's like overwhelmingly the most powerful of all of them. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, maybe that's a cool thing though. That the most powerful one is just happy being around them and doing the menial tasks. Just if anyone else had that power, they'd probably be doing everything to harness that power.
Yeah.
And maybe it's like he's just happy being around these people that feel like family to him.
I can see like in the future, like with future movies, his motivation being like protecting his family.
They say that because they're like, oh, I forget who they bring up. They're like, oh, space. They're dealing with the stuff in space. What's happening in space?
Yeah.
I was waiting for them to be like, oh, Doctor Doom is in space. Like, what's happening in space? Because obviously the Fantastic Four ship isn't related to what they were talking about before. They kept talking about something's happening in space. What is it? What's your?
I do think it's a crazy setup that we're about to see though, because if the Fantastic Four movie is confirmed to be taking place in the 60s, how is it that a Fantastic Four ship is coming back from space?
So I have
that time.
I have a theory.
You think when they get up into space and get their powers, they're going to get displaced?
Mm-mm. My theory, and people have thought about this, and I really hope this is what happens, but I almost don't because like
it's what's expected.
Is that because the Fantastic Four movie that's coming out supposedly takes place in a different dimension. And they mentioned that this ship is an interdimensional ship. So the theory is that in the Fantastic Four movie, Silver Surfer and Galactus will win and they will destroy the planet.
Ooh.
And they leave the dimension, or they get somehow sent to a different dimension into the MCU, and now they're warning the MCU about Galactus or Doctor Doom or whatever, something like that. And they get sent to us from a different dimension where they lost.
Do you think that Doctor Doom could be coming from their dimension, and that's how they're going to reintroduce Robert Downey Jr. again?
We have no idea who's on that ship.
Yeah, right.
It could be an empty ship. It could be just Doctor Doom.
That would be cool.
Like, what if they go in there thinking it's going to be the Fantastic Four and Robert Downey Jr. steps out?
It's just the robot.
It's just Herbie.
It's just Herbie.
What if Silver Surfer comes out? Like, you never know. Like, that's what I'm saying is like, you never know who's in that ship. But like the interdimensional really makes me believe like, what if they lose? How are you going to beat Galactus?
Well, now we got to see it.
We have to.
Gotta go see it.
We have to.
It's also making me think how they used Johnny in that other movie. So I think they're gonna start looping in like all the extra dimensional variants of people.
Could be. I mean, again, we're gonna have to just get into a conversation about Doomsday and what that entails or what that could entails. But in the comics, what's it called? Avengers Battleground or Avengers Secret Wars.
Okay.
Avengers Secret Wars is basically, if I'm correct, I didn't read the comics, but it is all the different dimensions of our characters are placed onto a planet, I think by Doctor Doom or someone, and forced to fight it out. And like, in Doomsday, we have like Tobey Maguire fighting Andrew Garfield, fighting Tom Holland, fighting Ben Affleck Daredevil, fighting Charlie Cox Daredevil versus.
They got to bring back Blade for that.
Who?
Blade.
They
got to bring back.
But I'm just saying, like, that could be really cool. Could be. We'll save Doomsday talk for a different episode, but maybe that's what they're going to bring in with this interdimensional.
Maybe
travel.
they do like X-Men or something too.
And that's also supposedly Black Suit Spider-Man, Symbiote Spider-Man, the big.
Ooh, yeah. There's so many options if they go on that route.
I need to see Black Suit Spider-Man. Oh, that is gonna. Oh,
in the OG Sam Raimi suit. They'd have to play the music with it.
Oh, yeah. Real quick, before we close it out, I have one final burning question. And this is inspired by the Escape Pod podcast. I saw them do this, and I thought it was a really genuine question. A really great, genuine question for you guys. Fuck, marry, kill. Yelena, U.S. agent, and Red Guardian.
All right, well, I'm killing Yelena.
Whoa!
Fucking Red Guardian. And I'll marry U.S. agent.
Jeez, okay.
Yep. There we go.
Yeah, you basically had it right.
Whoa!
But
actually, wait.
But I'm marrying Red Guardian.
I was gonna say
that guy was not taking care of his kids.
So maybe
let's not marry that guy.
Maybe
No, shout out
the
Yelena.
Escape Pod podcast had a really great thing that they said where Red Guardian, you're not fucking Red Guardian. He's gonna fuck you.
Oh my gosh.
That super soldier serum.
that Russian super soldier serum. I'm gonna be more realistic. I'm marrying Yelena, and I'll fuck U.S. agent.
Okay.
And yeah, Red Guardian can go
Whoa.
rot.
What a hot take.
Yeah.
You didn't ask, but we gave you the review of the Thunderbolts. And tune in. Like, comment, and subscribe.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And be on the lookout for maybe a Doomsday video. A little, where could the Marvel Cinematic Universe go? Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, we got some more stuff coming. Keep tuning in.